Hey guys, it's Jason. I am back from a little short trip to Texas, and that is kind of related to this tour of the home base here that I promised you the last couple of videos I would try to get done. Um, if you're new here, I am 55 and I'm implementing what I call my post fire freedom plan. What that means, if you haven't watched those other videos, and if you haven't, go back and look at them. I go into a lot more detail about it, but I'm implementing a plan to take back my time and to start doing the things that I want to do and less of the things that I have to do. And part of that, as you know, if you've been around and watched those other videos, is this place out here. We have 5 acres in west central Missouri that we've owned for a number of years. And I'll tell you the story a little bit as maybe we drive around of how we ended up with this place. I actually built the house next door that we moved here about 20 years ago and bought a 5 acre piece of ground down here beside us. I'll show you that in a minute as we drive around as well. And ultimately ended up with this piece here next door also. And it had at that point a mobile home on it, and I'll show you where that was in a few minutes. And what we ended up doing was my mother moved here after she bought the place after my grandmother passed away. She was able to buy this place and live here for most of her. I don't. She was here probably well over 10 years until her health declined enough to where we felt like it was better for her to be, in town. And if you're a rural liver, you know what I'm talking about. We're about 15 minutes from the nearest city up the road here. So we made the decision a number of years ago that it was time for her to move to town and be closer to her friends and closer to the senior center where she enjoyed so much of her spending so much of her time, closer of course to the hospital and her doctors and things. So ultimately, um, we end up with this place as part as connected to our other 5 acres. And in the last few years we decided to sell the place next door, that we wanted to build one more house. So that took a number of uh, iterations, right? What did we want to do? Did we want to build? I'm going to step in here in the shade, and then I'll show you around the shop briefly here in a minute. But the plan to build the new house here next door, went through several iterations. We had thought about selling the entire place, the whole all 10 acres, the house, this place, all together. And then the more we thought about it, we thought, well, we really liked this piece of ground that was next door. And long story short, it really worked out well. Our my wife's sister and our brother-in-law was looking for a place at the same time. They had always liked our place, spent time out here over the years. And after after the dust all settled, they ended up buying our place next door. So it really works well. We've got the place next door sold with family living here, right beside us. It allows us to kind of keep an eye on each other's places, of course. And then it allowed us to do what we wanted to do, which was to kind of build that, that last house, that, our next last house, if you will. So the house that's going to take us into retirement. So what we've got here is a 5 acre piece of ground. This building that I'm standing here inside of out of the sun was on this place when we bought it all those years ago. So this place is probably, well, it was here when we built the house next door. So this building is probably going on about 30 years old. It certainly needs some work, but it's not bad, right? The bones of the structure are in really good shape. Sorry about pushing my glasses back, but it's almost 100 degrees outside and humid, and my face is sweating. So we decided that was kind of part of the discussion about what we wanted to do, and having this nice shop, and it's a 30 by 50 building, So, super nice size building for us to rehab. And part of the reason that we decided to do this is, and I'll show you a close up here in a minute, but is this floor. Man, it's got and it's probably too bright to see some of that back in the glare, but like I said, I'll zoom in here and put some film of the floor in. But what they had done was it's got a 2x6 um, joist around around the bottom of the building, and essentially what they did was fill that with concrete. So it's got about a 6-inch concrete floor, and it's got one tiny little crack back over here by the loader. But other than that, this floor is perfect. It's level and smooth. It doesn't have a bunch of cracks in it. And in Missouri, the old saying around here is it's not a matter of if it cracks, it's just a matter of when concrete cracks. And for being a probably close to 30-year-old floor, this thing's in great shape. So that really added a ton of value to us to decide to build here. Now, I'll show you the outside in a minute, but the building definitely needs some TLC. It's time to replace the metal, and that's part of the overall the freedom plan. Is when we're building the house, we're gonna reskin this place to match, of course, to match what we finally decide on the house. So after we get that done, it needs a little bit of work when we skin it. There's a few places back over here. This post, the second post, right in here where I've got my electrical cord hanging. That post, I think it has sunk a little bit. If you look along the edge of this building, you can kind of see a little bit of a dip. I stretched a string across there, and you can kind of see a little bit of a dip. So I think that post sunk a little bit. So we need to do a little bit of work when we reskin it, but nothing heavy, not too heavy. Now I warned you, I think, in the last video that I was going to do a quick tour of the place and show you what a mess this shop is. But before you judge too much, remember that we've just moved up here about a year ago, and into the RV that walked out of a while ago, and you've heard that story if you watch some of the prior videos. We're living in our RV here on this home base while we're deciding what we're going to do. So the shop's a total mess. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of junk from the other place that made its way up to this shop, but it's not in bad shape at all. I'll pan around here a little bit and show you kind of some of the stuff that I'm talking about. There's my Chinese excavator, my Pablo, we call it, because my grandson calls it excavator, or excavator. So Pablo the excavator there. But you can see, I mean, the building's in pretty good shape. The trusses are in good shape. There's really it doesn't leak too bad. We've had to patch a few little places, but tons of room for me to park my toys in here to keep the tractor and the side by side, my little excavator in here, and plenty of room in addition, to have my current shop that I moved from my other shop down the road here up to. So we've got a little space over here to work, but obviously a lot of this junk will be gone as we go along, and it'll allow me to have a tremendous building in here once we get it reskinned and reinsulated. But that's not the top of the priority list. Definitely on the list, but not at the top. Wanted to show you back over here the other beautiful addition we've made was our laundry room, our temporary laundry facilities while we're living here in the RV. So that certainly made Mrs. Jason happy, right, to have a place to do laundry without having to go to the laundromat. So, no, this part is definitely a big piece of the conversation about why we're relocating up here and building the new life, implementing the new plan on this piece of ground. So let me get on the side by side and get it started, and we'll take a little trip around the outside. So this sun angle's getting low here. I hope it's not too loud, and I hope not to have too much glare, but you can see down the driveway, this is where we come in off the road, just a straight shot up here to the building, and then I'll show you around a little more where the camper currently sits. I've got kind of a little trail that around the place here, and I'll show you that as we drive around, and I'll give you a peek over here at the other house that we built. Hopefully you won't, again, no judging on the place and the condition it's in. Part of this big plan is to completely redo this place, rip out a bunch of these fences and clear a bunch of this old overgrowth. But so this is our there's the shop over there. The other place is right around the corner here. So this big piece of this 5 acres, probably a couple of acres, is a nice straight stretch of pasture that, between us and the in-laws here. So the girls have big plans for the future of who knows what kind of livestock is going to live in this nice straight stretch of pasture here one of these days. So there's the other place. This is the side of it. So you can kind of see, yeah, a little bit. There's the other place, the place that we built, the Earth Contact House that we built about 20 years ago. Here's our pathway between the properties where we walk back and forth. It's really nice to have family right next door. So this 5 acres that we're on here, the shop's over here. I'll turn around here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. There's the shop we were just in, and then the RV is on the other side of the shop. We'll get out and look at it here in a minute, and then just to give you some scale, the house that we built is right over there. But this um, this 5 acre piece that we're on, and then that 5 acres that we built on was part of, if you can kind of see, a larger, I think it was a 50 acre piece originally. It was, I believe that was what it was initially, was 50 acres total. And then the guy that bought this place was going to divide it all up and sell it off, but I don't think that plan worked out as well as he thought. He sold, there's another 5 acres up there on the other road that was here when that house was here when we built this place. And then there was that 5 acres that I bought, and then this 5 acres that was existing with that building and the mobile home on it back in those days. So there were 15 acres sold off of that original 35. That of course leaves 30, or that original 50. That leaves this 35 acres that surrounds us here. So one of the things that we like about this place a ton is the fact that that there's not going to be any neighbors. So after I bought my two 5 acre pieces here, the guy that owned all this, he sold that other 35 acres to a farmer, and you can see the soybeans in the field there now. So he sold it to a farmer, and he's not interested in selling. There's really not very good access to this other 35 acres, so I don't see him ever doing anything with it. And he and I kind of have a gentleman's agreement that if he ever did want to do something with it, that we've got first right to it. Nothing in writing, but he knows that we would be interested potentially in that other 35 acres should he decide to sell it. But again, he's a young guy and he buys up these little pieces all over the place, and I don't think he'll ever sell it. So it makes a great place to live out the rest of our days here with the family right next door. This nice place here, the way it's kind of a gentle slope and a nice view and things here. So let's continue on the tour. You'll see my burn pile here next door or next to me. If you know anything about rural living, you know that everybody's got a burn pile. Mine's just a pretty large one. We started it, a year and a half ago or so as we began implementing the early stages of this freedom plan. So that'll get burned off. I'll bring the grandkids out here one day this fall or early winter, and we'll have a big fire. So there's the rest of this 35 acres that wraps all the way around us here, and then my fence, and then the building. Let me get past these cedar trees, and I'll show you. We're about to my corner up here, and then let me turn around so you can kind of see. There's the shop and the RV home base where it currently sits, and then bring you into the side by side here. But here's my corner, and then I'm basically a square, a 5 acre square. There's our closest, our only neighbor up here. We've known them, of course, since day one. It's been the same people since we built our house. So I'll stop here and kind of give you a little bit of a look, a little more scale on the place. So there's the, the building and the RV. What is the RV home base now? And then I'll show you where the house is going to go up here. But you can kind of see I'm just a square 5 acres with the burn pile back over there, and then the in-laws right over there, straight across that way. It's so overgrown right now, being what is it? Late August. Brush hogged this field a couple of times throughout the summer, but everything gets so overgrown right now. This is my little weed infested little pond. This gets really pretty in the springtime when there's water, with the water off this hillside runs into it and it gets full. You can see now it's pretty low, but normally it's brimming full, and there's some little fish in there that of course live around, little bluegill, perch, or whatever you want to call them. And we'll have a couple of herons land on the pond. There's always wood ducks. We're in a big flyway for Truman Lake and the big, this is called Big Creek and Grand River flyways that are right here by us. So a lot of ducks. So we always have ducks on the place. You can see it's almost overtaken with willow trees, which are obviously on the list to be trimmed as part of this big plan. So let me get you up here to where we're going to build the house. So here's where the house is going to sit. I'm pretty much in the spot now where the house is going to sit. Shut this off. Make it a little bit quieter. So there's the home base, and my big metal mess behind it. Sorry for the mess back here. I can't believe I'm letting anybody see that. But after all these years of living here and sharing this these two properties, I have a place to pile scrap metal. There's a couple old washers and dryers back there and some things. So that'll all that'll all go away, of course, soon. But yeah, so here's where the house is going to sit. I know it's going to be a glare. You're not going to be able to see me. We're looking west, right at the sun, but the house is going to sit right in this area here on this. There's a nice little bench here. It's not. This is a nice gentle slope, so this is kind of the high spot right here, about where I'm standing. And then we built that place for the RV to sit. Now, who knows in the end that we're going to keep the RV or not. We've had one for years and years, but when we finally get this place like we want it, we may be done with the traveling. Who knows? We'll figure that out as part of this freedom plan, doing what I want to do instead of what I have to do. And if I don't have to travel as much, maybe that'll be all right. But the house will sit here, and then that I've created a couple of stairs you can kind of see that lead us down to where there'll be a new door there on the side of the shop, and that's how we'll go in and out of the shop. I'll probably once I get rid of this mess behind the barn and that all that junk, and we'll regrade a little bit, and I'll probably put a big roll-up door back here as well. The only big door on that building is the one we came in and out of a while ago, and it's on the west side. So you can imagine what it's like. Try to get out of the sun here a little bit. You can imagine what it's like in the heat of the summer like this. It's a mess. It gets just the oven, that barn becomes an oven with the sun shining in. So a couple of things about this, why we like it up here. Number one is um, this big tree there that's been there forever, and it's just such a pretty shape to it. It holds that has looked so pretty ever since we've been here. But we really like this row of cedar trees. When I was a kid, we didn't have cedar trees in this part of the country, but man, has that changed. We've got cedar trees everywhere now. So this, I think, if you look at, there's a nice straight line all the way up through here. I suspect this was an old fence row at some point way back in the day, and that's where these cedar trees uh, started to grow up. We've got some junk trees, some mulberry bushes and things in here to clear out, but we really like these trees as kind of a backdrop. So our back porch will be right in this area somewhere. So we'll set the house so that direct access right down to the shop, and then the back porch will be here along these cedar trees. So we'll have kind of a nice private area back here. Not that we need a lot of privacy when you can't see another house for miles, but we'll have a the east. The sun comes up over here in the east every morning, most mornings, and then goes over here to the west. So we've got a shady spot in the mornings on the front side of the place, and then the shady place here in the evenings on the back side. So we're really excited about that. I'm gonna let me give you one more view, kind of from here where I'm talking about, where the house is going to sit. You can see this flat spot that I'm standing on, and then where it is in relation to the building. And again, we'll add a new door over here to get in and out of the shop. So let me go down to the road. I'll kind of give you the tour from driving, what it looks like coming down the road as we turn into the place. Oh, finally in the shade here a little bit. It's the humidity is not so bad today, which is odd for this time of the year. Normally, it's so humid you can't hardly breathe, but not too bad today. It's definitely hot, but in the shade, it's really not bad. There's a little bit of a breeze. So here is, you can kind of see behind me these. I don't know if you can see them, but there were some concrete runners. Here's where that mobile home sat when we bought the place. It was all in this area here. And then I've dug a couple of these concrete runners out. Check these things out, man. These are what was buried, or what is in the ground here, that mobile home sat on. This is the second one, I think, that I've dug out with the excavator, as my 3-year-old calls it. But we pulled a couple of these out. I don't know what they weigh, but it's more than I can drag around with my little tractor. So we kind of get those broken up, and we're doing some different stabilization things with those. But the rest of them really aren't in the way. The grass is starting to grow in over them, so I'll probably end up leaving those. You can see there where the power came up. So for the other place, and then there's a good septic field out here from back then that we've had that cleaned out. So as you can kind of get the lay of that, there's that flat spot we were just on earlier where the house is going to sit, and then there's the building. A nice gentle flow down here to where the septic is. You can see, we've got power on a pole over here, so power to come up, to or it's easy to run the power up to the new place. So I mean, we're really excited, really blessed to have this great spot to build on for the future. And that is definitely something that makes this plan exciting. Is we wanted to build, we built another house 20 years ago. We raised our family in it. We really wanted to do one more time, right? Just to try one more, build one more house and get that. Everybody says your third house is perfect. So this is our third one. The first one was an older house that we completely remodeled. Then we built that one from the ground up with our own 4 hands, my wife and I, and we're gonna try one more time here. So we're excited about it. We're excited about this place. We're excited about having the family. Excited about implementing this freedom plan. So real quick on the house, I want to mention where we were. I mentioned when we started that we just got back from a little road trip. We ran down to look at some tiny houses, tiny homes down in Texas, about a 7-hour drive to where we went from here. We ran down there yesterday, and kind of a long haul, but we ran down there, spent one night, went and looked at the place, and then boogied back home and got home late last night. But we don't know. there's some awfully nice, what they call, tiny homes now. They're a little bit small for what we're thinking, but we're thinking as a hub. I don't know. I'll throw a couple of pictures in to kind of what we're looking at, but um, man, there's a lot to think about there. Do we want to look at one of these, real high end, real high quality tiny homes as kind of the hub, and then just build out the rest with porches and decks, and finish that shop off nice, insulated, and heated and cooled. That would be a big space for gatherings, and I don't know. We don't know, a lot to think about there, but we wanted to run down. We were kind of hoping that the tiny homes would be something we could kind of check off of our list as not interested in. But man, after we got down there and looked at the quality of these things, I don't know. We'll see. I can't imagine that we're going to go there, but it sure be nice to just set that thing on a pad up there on that flat spot and hook everything up, and then spend the rest of our time, energy, and resources just building out the place as opposed to the house. And so I don't know where we'll end up, but we go back and forth a lot of things. I'll We'll spend some more time on that in a future video. The plans that we have drawn up for the house to set up there, and maybe you can give me some help. Remember, the part of this freedom plan is this YouTube channel, and the goal of having you guys come along with us on this and provide some feedback and provide some accountability to keep us on track. So don't forget your mission in all this. I hope that you're enjoying these, and we'll continue on the path next week. Until then, take care.